Hey everybody, Nate here from WASD20. Welcome back. Today we are going to make a monk for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I will be making a monk that I already have a character for. This is Denara, and I play him in the Provokers Season 2, Provokers Bleak Wrath. And I thought we would recreate him here, because I think he's a cool character. So stats might be a little different than the normal character because we're going to re-roll everything and all that. But for the most part, we'll be recreating this guy. And yeah, stick around. It should be a lot of fun. So a couple things here. First off, I got to give big props to John Pintar for the lovely art that he did here of Denara. This is Sander with his mask on, and here he is unveiled here. So you can see him both ways. John did two versions for me. John, of course, has done a lot of art for the guys at Absolute Tabletop. And yeah, I was really pumped that he was able to do this for me. So we're going to be creating, we'll start off here, creating Denara. Oop, it's already auto-filled. Look at that. He is a monk, level 1. My name is Nate. And okay, that's all we're going to start with here. Oh, we know that he's a halfling as well. Okay, very good. Now you've got my preferred order on the screen here. This is a little different than the player's handbook. I usually go with race first and record that. Then I go with ability scores and I roll those up usually with 4d6, drop the lowest. Then I go to background, then class, then equipment, and then spells, if any. I also want to say that I wrote up a more detailed guide for character creation, written guide for character creation, and I put that up on my website. So I'll put a link to that down in the description below. You can check that up. It's just a little step-by-step guide with my preferred order that I wrote up for my students in the RPG class that I taught last year. So, turning first to the Halfling section in the player's handbook. Halflings we read are, short. That's pretty obvious. Somewhere around 3 feet tall. And, yeah, they are hardy and stout, and are generally, going to be very practical. They are also, it says here, pretty good at blending into a crowd. They're warm, pleasant. They live in well-kept homes and little kingdoms of their own and all this stuff. So, of course, halflings originally were taken for D&D from the idea of hobbits from the Lord of the Rings. But, of course, legal reasons, they had to change a lot of those names. So, halfling is what we get here. But basically, it's a hobbit. I do have the Adventures in Middle-earth guide for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So I will actually be creating an actual hobbit sometime in the near future. I'll be doing some character creation videos with those races. And that should be a little twist on our regular character creation. I think should be kind of fun. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm shrouded in darkness here, it's because I have a really bad cold and I'm not feeling well and I don't want to be seen. But I do have to have myself on camera here so I can do this. Hi. All right. We have halfling names here, which I already have a halfling name. And then we want halfling traits. This is where I'm going to record some of the actual stats for my guy. So ability score increase, it says your dex increases by 2. So for now, I'm just going to put a +2 in that. Age, generally reach adulthood at the age of 20. I'm not too concerned about age. I do imagine Sander's pretty young. He's probably early 20s. Alright, it says here that halflings are generally lawful good. They're good-hearted, hate to see others in pain. I think for Sander, I went with lawful neutral, actually. He's not a typical halfling. He's from the deserts of Sonnegeist and is part of a monastic order out there. All right, it says size, halflings average about 3 feet tall and weigh about 40 pounds. Your size is small. Your base walking speed is 25 feet. And lucky, when you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. Okay, so that's a pretty cool trait of halfling. So I'll type that in here under features and traits. It also says here, brave. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. And halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is a size larger than yours. So that's more, I guess, impactful when you're playing with grids and minis. Usually you don't worry too much about that in Theater of the Mind play, but we'll type that in here anyway with the features and traits. And usually when I don't put much detail here, I make sure to put the page number, page 28. There we go. Next is languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Halfling. The Halfling language isn't secret, but the Halflings are loath to share it with others. They write very little, so they don't have a rich body of literature. Their oral tradition, however, is very strong. Almost all Halflings speak Common to converse with the people in whose land they dwell. So I'm going to speak Common and Halfling. I'll put that down here in Proficiencies and Languages. It says here for subrace, we've got Lightfoot and Stout. However, I ended up taking a different one. So for Sander, I ended up going with Ghostwise Halfling, which is one of the optional subraces in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. So it's kind of one of those extra little things, but if you don't have the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, just pick Lightfoot or Stout and record the basic information that you would need for that. But the Ghostwise Halflings, in case you're curious, it says Ghostwise Halflings trace their ancestry back to a war among the Halfling tribes that sent their ancestors into flight from Lurien. Ghostwise Halflings are the rarest of the Hin, only found in the Chondlewood and a few other isolated forests, clustered in tight-knit clans. Many Ghostwise clans select a natural landmark as the center of their territory, and members carry a piece of that landmark with them at all times. Clan warriors known as Night Gliders bond with and ride giant owls as mounts, so that's pretty awesome. Because these folk are clannish and mistrustful of outsiders, Ghostwise Halflings adventurers are rare. Now, with Sander, he actually was found in the desert by an order of monks called the Order of the Unscorched, and so he is actually not living with other Ghostwise Halflings. He's living with all sorts of races. This is kind of a ragtag group of monks, an order. But statistically, we would get to increase his wisdom score by 1 with the Ghostwise option. And we also get silent speech, which I typed in right here. You can speak telepathically to any creature within 30 feet. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The creature understands you only if the two of you share the same language. So that is going to do it for our stats for the sub-race. And that pretty much finishes it up for race as well. So next, I always go to ability scores. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to roll 4d6, that's 4 six-sided die, and then we drop the lowest one, and we're going to write that down as one of our stats here. So I'm going to type that up right here. Here we go. All right, I got 3 4s and a 1, so we'll go with the 12 there. Next up, got 9 plus 2 is 11. So now we are going to go ahead and place these ability scores, and we need to choose where we want to put them. Now the highest in general that they recommend for a monk is dexterity and then wisdom, and that works out really well because I have dexterity from Halfling race and a wisdom bonus from the Ghostwise Halfling sub-race. So that works out really well. Let's see where I want to put these here. So we're definitely going to want to make dexterity our highest, so we'll put a 14 there. Because of our plus 2, that gets rid of one of these 12s. And next we'll go with wisdom. So we'll get rid of another one of these and make wisdom a 13. So 12 plus 1 that we had there. And now we've got some other ones we can do here. I think that I will go with Constitution, because Sander is going to be getting up close and personal. Monks are usually melee fighters in general. They fight with hands or with monk weapons, which are almost always melee weapons. So I want to have some decent constitution so that I can withstand some strikes, even though I'm a halfling. So that's that 12 there. Now we've got an 11, 11, and 9. I think we'll go with the 9 in intelligence, and then 11 in strength and charisma. And there we go. So now we have our ability scores. Now to get our ability score modifiers, which are very important for determining skill bonuses and all that stuff, I go back to the beginning of the player's handbook here. This is on page 13 of the player's handbook. There's a chart for these. Or the formula, of course, is minus 10, subtract 10, and then divide by 2. So in that case, and you always round down. So in that case, an 11, if we subtract 10, will be 1. Divide by 2 is going to be 1/2. We round down, and it is 0. So plus 0. Dexterity is going to be plus 2. Constitution will be plus 1. Intelligence will be, and charisma will be plus 0. Alright, so those are our modifiers, and those of course become relevant when we fill out our skills and saving throws and all that stuff. Alright, so we've got our ability scores in place, and now I usually like to go to background. The reason I do background first is because it gives you a couple skills, and then that helps us be more informed when we choose from the many skills that we have potential of choosing for our class. So, of course, Chapter 4 is all about personality and background in the player's handbook. So, for Sander, I ended up choosing the Outlander background, and I put the page number there in case I need to refer back to it. It is page 137 in the player's handbook. And let's see here. There it is, Outlander. So, it says you grew up in the wilds, far from civilization, the comforts of town and technology. You've witnessed the migration of herds, larger than forests, survived weather more extreme, etc., etc. And this all fits really well with Sander being from the Sonnegeist Desert. So, skipping down to the statistically relevant parts, we have skill proficiencies in athletics and survival. So for now, I'm just going to check those boxes, and you'll see what that means for us in a minute. Athletics and survival. Then it says tool proficiencies, one type of musical instrument. And for Sander, I ended up deciding that I think it would be cool if he played a little flute. And then it says languages, one of your choice. So I get an extra language. And I think that Sander is going to speak a little bit of Elvish. I kind of like that. And then for equipment, I get a staff, a hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed, a set of traveler's clothes, and a belt pouch containing 10 gold pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and record those down here in the equipment section. So there we go. I decided for my trophy from an animal I killed, I would go with a cougar's tooth. I wanted something small. Sander's not going to carry around a huge, like, tiger paw or something like that. And I put my gold right there in the gold section. That is, of course, in my belt pouch. All right. Now we're going to move on to the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. And I'm just going to record these because I actually already chose them or rolled for them. I don't even remember how I got them, but you can roll for them or you can just choose them from the Outlander background section or whatever background you happen to have. So here we go. Alright, so there we have it. For my personality traits, you get 2 personality traits. I have a lesson from every situation drawn from observing. I place no stock in wealth or well-mannered folk. My ideal, honor. If I dishonor myself, I dishonor my order. And bonds, I will bring terrible wrath on to the evildoers who destroyed my homeland. And so there are people kind of raiding and pillaging some of the ruins and treasures in the Sonnegeist Desert. And his order, Sander's order, the Order of the Unscorched, is tasked with protecting the land. And so Sander takes this personally, this what he would view as, ravaging of the land. And then lastly, my flaw, I am dogmatic in my thoughts and philosophy. Okay, so that is my background. And actually, as I'm looking here, I have a feeling that I picked and chose from various backgrounds. And that's something you can also do, obviously with DM's permission. But sometimes I just flip through and I find things that I think fit my idea for the character. Backgrounds stuff can be awesome if you don't already have an idea. It can be great for generating that, and you can start to form that character. But I already went into this actually having a pretty good idea of who this character was in my mind. All right, and then lastly, we have the feature Wanderer. It says, you have an excellent memory for maps and geography. You can always recall the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. In addition, you can find food and fresh water for yourself and up to 5 other people per day, provided that the land offers berries, small game, water, and so forth. So I'm going to just go ahead and write down the Wanderer feature here and the page number, because that's a lot to write. All right, that's on page 136 in the Player's Handbook. And now we are on to the next section. For me, I go to class next, so we'll go ahead and turn over to monk. And monk is on page 76. Now, monks are masters of ki. This is the force of energy that binds all things. And yeah, it's sort of like magic, but it's a little bit different. It is mystic, and it is something that takes study and meditation and all that sort of thing. Just like, Tibetan monks or something like that. So, if we look over to the class features, or on page 77 of the Player's Handbook, we will see that hit die, 1d8 per monk level, and I'm level 1 here, so we'll just go with 1d8. And it says hit points at first level are 8 plus your Constitution modifier, and so my Constitution modifier is +1, so my hit points are a lowly 9. There we go. Next up, hit points at higher levels. We'll skip for now because we're not going to higher levels. Proficiencies, armor, none. Weapons, simple weapons and short swords. Short swords, there we go. All right, so simple weapons and short swords. Tools, it says choose one type of artisan's tools or one musical instrument. So I don't actually get these tools, but I am proficient with them, and I actually didn't pick one for Sander before. So as I'm looking through them here, I kind of like the idea of leatherworkers tools, so we're going to go with that. Alright, so we are building our list of proficiencies there. And again, Sander doesn't actually get a flute or leatherworkers tools is my understanding, but he is proficient with them. Alright, and now we go to saving throws. It looks like monks are proficient in strength and dexterity saving throws. So we'll check those for now and fill out the numbers in a little bit here. Lastly, skills. Choose 2 from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth. And I think I'm going to choose stealth and acrobatics, 2 dexterity-based skills. Make the strong things a bit stronger. And then here it says that you start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background. And again, you only get this equipment if you're not rolling for gold to buy your own equipment. So, it says I get a short sword or any simple weapon. And I think I'm going to go with a quarterstaff here. And I'm actually just going to make my staff that I got with my background. I'll just make it a quarterstaff. That makes sense. I don't need a staff and a quarterstaff. So, here we go. Q staff because quarterstaff doesn't fit in the blank there. Then we get a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. So we'll go with an Explorer's pack. And you can see exactly what that includes over in Chapter 5, the equipment chapter, but it's things like a bedroll, I think a rope, and other things like that. Some of the adventuring basics. Explorer's pack and 10 darts. Cool, those can come in handy. And that looks like it for the standard equipment that comes with Monk. If we continue reading through the class section here, you can see one really cool feature that monks get is Unarmored Defense. Beginning at first level while you are wearing no armor and not wielding a shield, your AC equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. So, that means my AC will be, when I'm not wearing armor, 10 plus 2 is 12 plus 1 for wisdom. So that is a total of 13. Whoops, that's not it. There we go. Armor class. 13. And then we have this long section here on martial arts. And that gives me a number of benefits for hand-to-hand combat and things like that, martial arts. So I'm going to go ahead and record those things, and then we'll talk about them. Alright, so some of the things I recorded here, I can use Dex instead of Strength for attack and damage rolls. That's a really good thing. And D4, Unarmed Strike, that means that in place of an Unarmed Strike, where I think you would normally just do 1 damage if you decide to punch somebody or something, or kick somebody, now I get to roll a D4 for the damage. And that actually goes up as I level up in my monk. Unarmed Strike as a bonus action. When I hit with an Unarmed Strike, or with a monk weapon, which a quarterstaff is, then I can take a bonus action of an Unarmed Strike in addition. So if I hit with my quarterstaff, then I can hit with another Unarmed Strike with an extra D4 of damage. Alright, so that about does it for class. It looks like at level 2 I do get key, which gives me some a number of key points to spend on certain maneuvers like Flurry of Blows and Patient Defense and Step of the Wind. All really cool stuff. So the monks end up getting a lot more, and it becomes, you know, a bit to keep track of. Some people don't like to play monks because it is a bit to keep track of key points, but I don't think it's that much more than like spell points or anything like that, spell slots. So monks are pretty cool. I really like them. It says next on my list we would go to equipment. However, I already took the standard equipment. If I was going to roll for gold and choose my own equipment, that's where I would do this. Spells, I don't get any spells. So all that we really have left now is to fill in some of the blank spots on our sheet here. One of the things we have to do is determine our saving throws and skills. And so we'll go through here, and the way that we do this is we just take, for strength, it's +0. However, if we are proficient in it, proficiency bonus is +2, so we'll just put in +2. So those darkened ones are the ones we're proficient in, and that means we get to add an extra +2 because of our proficiency bonus. Now dexterity is already a +2, but now I get an additional +2, so it's +4, not bad. Constitution, +1. And so forth. For skills, we do the same thing. For acrobatics, I have +2, but I have it filled in here because I'm proficient, so I actually get +4. And I'll go through the rest and go ahead and fill those out. Alright, now I did zoom in here so you can actually see those scores a little bit, the bonuses that I just filled in. So yeah, we got those done. Now a couple other things that I need to do here. One is passive wisdom or perception. So to figure that out, we take our perception skill bonus, which in this case is +1, and we add 10. So our passive perception is going to be 11. We also have to fill out here our initiative, which is based on dexterity. So it's our dexterity bonus, which is +2. Alright, so for my quarterstaff, my attack bonus is going to be my dex because of the martial arts abilities. So that's nice because my dexterity is higher, so my attack bonus is going to be +2. And then I also get to add my proficiency bonus to attack, so it is +4 total to attack. Now I do not get to add the proficiency bonus to my damage, only to the attack bonus. So my damage will be 1d6, or because it's a versatile weapon, and you can read about your weapons on page 149 of the player's handbook, but it's versatile, that means it's able to be wielded with 2 hands. I definitely recommend reading this whole section on equipment because there's lots of info on how to calculate these for various weapons. But 1d6 or 1d8 if using 2 hands, plus in this case 2, and the damage type is bludgeoning. So I'll just put a B there. Alright, so that's how we do it. Now for my Unarmed Strike, the attack bonus is going to be +4 once again, and this time it's just 1d4. And do I get to add my other thing? I think that I still do. I think I do. 1d4 plus 2 in this case, and that will also be bludgeoning, and an unarmed strike is going to be bludgeoning. Alright, I've pretty much filled out that weapon damage now, and let's see if there's anything else I am missing here. I don't get to fill out XP yet. I don't really need this second page, although, you know, I probably would put a little character portrait over here. There we go. There we go. And, you know, I could write a little bit about his monastic order here. The Order of the Unscorched. I could fill out his vital statistics there for his his rap sheet. What eye color does he have, etc. But I won't right now, and I don't get to use the spellcasting sheet. So I think this is pretty good for now. I think that will be done here. If you want to download Sander Denara's character sheet, I don't know if I'd recommend doing that because I didn't roll particularly well, but you can go for it. I'll put it in the description below. You can check that out. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. If you like this one, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're looking to support the channel, you can go over to Patreon. There's a link in the description below. And I think that's about it. Everybody take care. You'll see me again very soon. Thanks.